What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingNudes.com and welcome back to another one of our previews. Well, if you can probably tell by my voice, a little bit more excitement in the air this weekend. Kind of the official slash unofficial slash, at least in my mind, start of the 2025 calendar. We have the Pegasus World Cup and we have the Pegasus World Cup Turf. We got the Philly and Mare Turf. We've got everything going on at Gulfstream. But we also have a huge race at Oaklawn Park. It is the Southwest Stakes, and that's what this video is going to be about today. We are talking Southwest Stakes from Oaklawn Park. Let's get to it. Race 10 on the card. I'll bring the field up on the screen now. We got a good one. Race 10 here at Oaklawn. It is the Southwest, going a mile and a 16th. A $1 million, yes, a $1 million purse for the Southwest. When I first started following Oaklawn Park, it was 250,000. Now it's up to 1 million. All right, let's get to it. Field of 10. We'll go through them one by one. We'll give you the winner at the end. We're going to start with the number one Gaming. Bob Baffert trained and Juan Hernandez coming into Ride Gaming. And look, this is a horse that I think, if not for his race last time out, he would be a pretty strong betting favorite. He is indeed the morning line favorite of this race. However, I don't know if that's going to stick. But for right now, he is the morning line favorite. Now, this horse started off with a maiden special weight win at Del Mar, followed by a win in the Del Mar Futurity, and then a runner-up finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Then he went to the Los Alamitos Futurity, where he was 2-5 in a field of 5, and he was third, beating 6.5 lengths, an absolute non-effort in that race. So that's the bad news. That's the thing we got to kind of overcome. What is this horse? Was it just a bad day? Did he not like Los Al? Just didn't fire? What happened? That is the big question mark coming into today. I do know the two workouts back. On January 11th, this horse fired a bullet. And then on January 18th, another solid work as well. So seems to be working okay. Was seemingly working okay going into the Los Al Futurity as well. It could just be a situation he didn't like Los Al. I think that's possible. And if that's the case, I think he shows up here with a big chance. Now, it is important to note, Flavien Prat was aboard the Los Al Futurity. He's not aboard this time. He chose a different horse that we'll talk about in a second. So Pratt jumps off Gaming. That's got to be a bad sign. He gets Hernandez. Oddly enough, Hernandez has only rode this horse one out of the 4 races. Pratt was aboard at the Del Mar Futurity. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then Irad back in the Los Al Futurity. So, mixed signals. I don't know. It's kind of, anybody's guess is as good as mine. He seems to be doing pretty good coming into the race. It's a pivotal race for Gaming, no doubt about it. The number 2 horse is Publisher. Publisher comes into this race as a maiden. However, he's hit the board in all 4 of his starts. He was third on debut. He was third in his second race. He was third in his third race. And then last time out, right here at Oaklawn Park, going this distance in a maiden special weight, he was second to American Promise, a horse we're going to talk about here in a second. I don't mind this horse if he was in another maiden special weight. There's a maiden special weight in race 2 on this card that I think he would fit pretty well in. In this one, I don't know. It's tough for me to pick a maiden in this kind of race. What I will tell you is that maiden special weight on December 29th at Oaklawn Park was a pretty darn good race, and I do actually like the winner of that race a little bit in this one. But again, a maiden, Publisher, just not sure. I've kind of got to go against Publisher in the spot. The number 3 is Monet's Magic. This is a horse coming off back-to-back wins. Won maiden special weight at this distance at Churchill Downs 2 races back, and then was a winner of an allowance race last time out right here at Oaklawn Park on December 29th. A pretty good race on December 29th. Stepped up to earn the highest time form speed figure of his career. Seems to be getting better with every race. Still needs to get a little better, I think, to actually, make an impact in this one. We'll see. His time form speed figure, like I said, every single race gets a little bit better, a little bit better. Even if it's a little bit better, maybe he hits the board. I think he's got to get, another nice jump before we see this horse in the winner's circle on Saturday. So if you project another big improvement, maybe, but I just couldn't quite get there with the number 3, Monet's Magic. Number 4 is Tiztastic, and this is a horse that's been up against some good ones. Broke the maiden on the turf at Kentucky Downs and then won a stakes at Kentucky Downs. So 2 straight turf races. That stakes race was a $1 million race there at Kentucky Downs. So you felt like turf was going to be in this horse's future. He showed up again in the Street Sense Stakes say a little bit slower this time. They're at Churchill Downs and was defeated by 5 lengths to Sovereignty, but did get second in that race. So I thought, that's not bad. And then showed up in the Kentucky Jockey Club and was third, beaten 4 lengths by a First Resort. So, yeah, I don't know. I think he's a board hitter. I think he can hit the board again. And that'd be fine for this race for him. I project he's probably going to be, 8-1 or so, I would imagine. I think that's kind of who he is. I don't know that he can get all the way up and win a race of this magnitude. It feels like no to me, but I don't blame him for giving him another chance. There's not any huge turf races this horse is missing out on. Maybe you try the dirt again. You kind of wait until the spring, put him back on the turf type of situation. But, for me, just kind of a hit the board a candidate, in my opinion. The number 5 is Render Judgment. A horse, again, that's just kind of like Tiztastic, has been facing tougher horses, or at least the same caliber of horses is kind of what he's going to face today. 2 races back in the Kentucky Jockey Club, this horse was 5th, beaten 8.5, so finished behind Tiztastic and others. And then last time out in the Gunrunner Stakes was 3rd, beaten 9.5. Got beat by Built, Magnitude. Both these horses, came back to be okay. Built nearly won the Lecomte. The time wasn't very good, and he didn't really have an excuse. He probably should have won it if he was good enough that day. Magnitude kind of just did what he does. He's just kind of average in the Lecomte. So, not the worst, signals there from Render Judgment about who he's been facing, but I don't know. I kind of a hit the board at best type for me as well. I do think 3 races back at Churchill Downs, he won at this distance when he broke his maiden, and he beat American Promise. So that's kind of a, that's a good news type of situation for him. American Promise, a horse we'll talk about here in just a second. The number 6 is Sandman. Sandman's a horse that kind of seemingly put it all together last time out, won an allowance race right here at Oaklawn Park. Pretty sharp effort, not too bad of a race. 2 back was 3rd, beaten 5.25 by Sovereignty. And then, of course, Tiztastic was finished ahead of him by a neck in that one. So kind of, if I think, Tiztastic is kind of a board hitter, you kind of got to think Sandman. That's kind of where I land with him as well. I just kind of feel like he can hit the board. I'm not quite sure he's good enough to win a race like this, facing a little bit better competition. So I've kind of got him underneath, and that's kind of where it ends with him for me. The number 7 is going to be the heavily hyped horse in this race. The number 7 is Patch Adams. He's coming off a 10.5 length victory in a maiden special weight at Churchill Downs on November 30th. That was the Stars of Tomorrow 2 card. Also, the Kentucky Jockey Club was ran that day as well. That was the card that Disco Time, winner of the comp last weekend, he won an allowance on that card. So now Patch Adams won one of the maidens on that card. Pretty good horse, obviously. He finished second in the Kentucky Derby Future Pool, at least second in odds, I should say, did Patch Adams. So he was 12-1 is what his finishing odds were. So we'll see what happens. I was super, super impressed with his maiden win. His debut win actually was a loss. He finished 3rd at Keeneland, beating a length and a half by David of Athens and Camp Hales. So kind of disappointing. He was bet like the next big thing that day. He was 4-5 as a first-time starter. He was 2-5 there at Churchill. So, I mean, the word's kind of out. They kind of like this horse. Another big thing, Florat Giroux had been on the first 2 races. It'll be Flavian Pratt, as mentioned earlier, will take over the mount here on Patch Adams. So he jumps off gaming to get on Patch Adams. He has been working impressively down in Florida at Payson Park. So we'll see what he comes up here and does. He is 5-2 on the morning line. I believe Patch Adams will actually be the favorite when they go to the post. So, look, he's been awfully good. It's going to be really hard to beat Patch Adams. The number 8, and a horse that might be able to do it, and if anybody can upset a big favorite, it's Dwayne Lucas, the number 8 American Promise. And boy, does this not look like a typical Dwayne Lucas on the Derby Trail type. 6 starts, just 1 win. Kind of been running okay in some other spots. But last time out, right here at Oaklawn Park, he put a sharp maiden special weight win together, going 1 mile and a 16th. And like I said, gate to wire, and boy, did he look good doing it. And I was very impressed with him that day. Texted a couple of friends and said, I think this might be Dwayne's best 3-year-old. I know he's got Innovator, but I think American Promise might be it. Now, he goes to face the big boys today in the Southwest. But, he's ran against some pretty good ones here and there. as most Lucas horses do, when you look at their past performances, you do see good horses that they've been running with because they do go up and run against the best. So, look, I think he's one that just every race seems to be improving. We'll see what happens with him. I think he's in with a shot here. If you want an upsetter, I think number 8, American Promise, makes a lot of sense for the coach. The coach also has the number 9, Bond Temps. I'm not sure on this one. It's still a maiden, 3 races, 3 losses. Hasn't hit the board either. Did, as a maiden, did run in the Smarty Jones last time out and was 4th, beaten 5 lengths. It wasn't a bad, horrible, awful race or anything like that, but it wasn't any kind of race to get you excited for this one. So I don't know. I think this one's a little bit of an outsider. Coach kind of taking a swing here with the son of Bravazzo, and he took a lot of swings with Bravazzo as well. But Bomb Tips just does not seem to be like his sire. And then finally, the number 10 is Speed King. Interesting horse. Broke the maiden at Churchill Downs and then went to Remington Park to run in the Remington Park Springboard Mile. Got second, beaten a half length to Coal Battle. And I think at least for me, I picked Speed King in the Springboard Mile. And was disappointed that he wasn't able to hold on, even though he did kind of run fast early. Thought he should have held on or maybe should have beaten Coal Battle. I think the loss looks a lot better now as Coal Battle came back to win the Smarty Jones, right? So I think that is kind of the good news. If you like Speed King, you want to play him, hey, he did get beat by the Smarty Jones winner. It was only a half length. It was first time going 2 turns. If he improves second time going long, he might take this field gate to wire. He might take this field a long ways. I really kind of like Speed King in this spot as well. One last thing, we talked about workouts with Patch Adams, and we said gaming was doing pretty well. This horse might be working better than both of them. These last 2 workouts of Oaklawn Park have been pretty impressive. On January 4th, the horse went 4 furlongs and 48 and change, was 10th out of 170 at the distance that day. And then January 18th, this horse worked 4 furlongs and 47 flat. He earned the bullet out of, are you ready for this? 302 workers at the 4 furlong distance on January 18th. He was the fastest of those. So it goes to show you, A, there's a hell of a lot of horses at Oaklawn Park, and then B, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. Outworked 302 other horses at the distance that day. So very interesting stats there for Speed King. All right, that is the field of 10. You can always probably tell as I break the field down who I'm leaning towards and maybe who I'm not. I do like gaming. I think he'll run a little bit better here. I like Patch Adams. I like American Promise, and I like Speed King. But on top, I've got to go with the number 7, Patch Adams. A lot of these time form figures, and I trust the time form figures more than any other figure out there, they're very similar numbers with a lot of these. I don't take a lot of credence in a 115 and a 111, being like wildly different. That's pretty close. They're all in the same realm. But the thing I kept going back to, Patch Adams has been earning speed figure, or the last speed figure, at least for Patch Adams, was done under like a stranglehold, basically. Like he's just under wraps and not doing much late, not being asked to do much late, I should say. The other ones, you just can't say that. They've been, if not all out, close to all out, these other horses where Patch Adams was kind of just under wraps. So to me, when I go into a race like this and I go, okay, not saying like these horses will never run faster than what they've done, because I think they will. They're still developing. But you come in a race like this, it's like, okay, I think I've kind of seen, I'm not going to call it the peak, but I've seen these horses before at close to max effort, and they're running the same kind of numbers as Patch Adams, who I've seen with no effort, basically, or effortless, type of performance. So I project that Patch Adams has a little bit more in the tank that we haven't seen. And if he can just turn it on just a little bit, it should be enough to kind of edge him past a couple of these other runners. Now, if he doesn't have that next gear, if he can't really take it to the next level, so to speak, then it becomes a wide open scramble, and it's going to just depend on trips and things like that, and who kind of gets lucky, because they look pretty similar on numbers. But I think Patch Adams projects to have a little bit more in the tank. So that's why I'm going to go the number 7, Patch Adams, to win the Southwest Stakes. All right, guys, that'll do it for a preview of the Southwest Stakes live from Oaklawn Park Saturday, January 25th. Hit that like button if you like the video. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, good luck if you are betting Oaklawn Park on Saturday.